Let's start.
Ma'am, 1 minute.
On behalf of Shield Healthcare, welcoming you all for today's scientific webinar. So, topic for today's webinar is vaccination and abnormal uterine bleeding in adolescents. I kindly request the participants to post their queries in the comment box so that we can have a discussion at the end of the presentation. Now, I request Dr. Mamta Mittal, Madam, President of Delhi Gynec Forum North, to give the welcome speech, ma'am.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to this interesting talk on in adolescent health, on vaccination in adolescents and AUB in adolescents. Adolescents form a major part of our population. About 21% of Indian population is adolescents. And they are all apparently healthy. But many of the problems in adult life actually start in adolescents. And looking after their health becomes important. And it becomes even more important to prevent those problems. One of them is CS cervix. That can be taken care of in adolescent times and it manifests in adult life. We have two very good experts with us today, Dr. Pratima Mittal ma'am and Dr. Sharda Jain ma'am. Dr. Sharda Jain is Secretary General of Delhi Gynae Forum, and she is a great teacher. Madam has been teaching our teachers, and Madam has been working very hard to decrease the incidence of CS cervix in India, and has been actively trying to influence the government of India to include HPV vaccination in their immunization program, in the national immunization program. Madam is also a member of the Ethical Committee of Indian Medical Association. So I would now request Dr. Sharda Jain to please say a few words.
Thank you very much for the kind words. I will just correct to you that, I am there in the Ethical Committee of the NMC and not Indian Medical Association.
Oh, sorry.
This is my second term has been given to me. As you have already said, that every fifth person is an adolescent in this particular country. And outside, there is a speciality of adolescents. Somehow, we have the people who are at the helm of the affairs have not been able to make this as a speciality. And the pediatricians take care of the children up to 18 years. So I find, the gynecologist exposure, they have to have a special training. And we thought that why not start a webinar, which is live. We do it every month. So all things related to adolescent health are well taken care of, mainly focusing on adolescent girl child. And I think, for a great start, we have, Dr. Pratima has consented that she will be there, give her time as an expert. And I will ask Dr. Sunita Mittal also to be there in a future meetings also. Once in a month, she spares an hour time to be there as an expert in this particular group. And today the topics have been chosen, have been absolutely wonderful. You, as you said yourself already, that they are basically healthy, but somehow their vaccination requires importance, and each and everything. I find gynecologists are pretty confused about how to handle menstrual problems, especially the AUB part as far as the adolescents are concerned. And I thought, let somebody very senior speak about it, so there are no controversies left. So I think, this particular, I'm very keenly watching that this is going to be one of the very sought after webinar here onwards. It all depends upon how we show up and our things, we discuss it out. So with these words, I think, it's back to Dr. Divya Singhal, who's anchoring it. Dr. Divya, unmute yourself.
Dr. Mamta, I'd request you to introduce Dr. Sunita Mittal, ma'am. Dr. Mamta.
Yeah.
Sunita is speaking first.
I thought Jyoti was.
Dr. Sunita, will you like to speak first or let Dr. Jyoti speak first?
Dr. Jyoti Agarwal, who is president of Delhi Gynae Forum East. She's a gold medalist from Lady Harding, a very gentle person. She teaches so beautifully. So we are looking forward to your presentation and talk on vaccination during adolescence. This is a very important topic. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Divya. First of all, मेरा सबको नमस्कार. I see so many teachers of mine here, respected seniors and my dear friends. Let me just share the screen. Malti, is my screen okay? Can everybody see my screen?
Enlarge kariye.
Yes. So I'll be speaking today on immunization for Indian adolescents. The dictum of modern medicine is, we all know, prevention is better than cure. Louis Pasteur, father of immunology, believed, and he said, I quote, when meditating over a disease, I never think of finding a remedy for it, but instead a means of preventing it. I unquote. Vaccinations are among the greatest public health achievements of the 20th century, first recorded in 1895, and immunization helps to control the spread of infections within the community. Immunization today is not just for infants and children under 5 anymore. Vaccination is important and must for all adolescents and adults too, and this we have to understand very seriously. How quickly we forget that thousands and millions of people lost their lives because of simple diseases like diphtheria, pertussis, measles, and rubella. Retrospectively, now we realize that all this could have been prevented if they were vaccinated. Vaccines are almost 85 to 100% effective in preventing a disease. Now the biggest question is, if vaccines prevent hundreds and thousands of diseases and thousands of deaths yearly, then why aren't all children, adolescents, and adults immunized? This is what we need to understand. 1/3 of the world's unimmunized children live in India. This amounts to almost 9 million children in India are partially or totally immunized. And that is why we need to protect the youth who are the nation's future. Every 5th person in India is an adolescent. Adolescents and young person constitutes almost 1/3 of our population. They are our biggest asset, so their health care is of utmost importance. But somehow this group is totally neglected. So investing in adolescent health is a win-win situation for any society. Why target adolescents? Because immune protection provided in childhood, vaccinations may not cover the entire adolescent period, and the effect of the vaccination may wane off gradually. Maybe the initial vaccination in childhood was not given or was inadequate and partial. Some adolescents have high risk, they belong to high risk, and they demand vaccination. So it is a collective responsibility as a gynecologist, pediatrician, teachers, and parents to ensure that they are cared for and adequately vaccinated. What is the current status? Let's see what is the scenario in the West as compared to the Indian scenario. Today, United States is the only country with a well-updated yearly program for adolescents, and they follow the CDC guidelines, which had come up in 2020 itself. This is the table. I'm not going into the details. This is available on the internet. As far as India is concerned, the vaccination coverage is only around 65-70%. And that is why Mission Indradhanush was launched, so that every partially immunized or unimmunized child is taken care of, and the aim is to immunize each and every child. So what are the recommended vaccinations for the group? This is the table given by the Indian Association of Pediatrics. To understand this, let's simplify the diseases and the vaccination in a simple form. I have categorized them into 3 categories, and this is how the vaccination is given. The first category is to all 11 to 12 years of age. The second is the catch-up, those adolescents, those who have missed during their childhood, they can be vaccinated. And the third is the high risk category, where every adolescent does not fall in. So I'll be dealing, my talk will be mainly on the 11 to 12 years age group, where I'll be dealing more in detail about the Tdap, the human papillomavirus, and the annual influenza vaccine. Let's come to vaccination for the adolescents at the age of 11 to 12 years. As far as diphtheria is concerned, we all know it is a purely vaccine preventable disease. It used to be a disease of children to 7 years, but now epidemiology with increasing incidence. According to WHO, cases in India far outnumber the cases from any other country in the world. A study from Hyderabad showed that annual incidence increased from 11 to 23 lakhs, almost doubled from 2003 in 3 years in adolescents. And coming to pertussis, why pertussis? Because pertussis is endemic. Outbreaks are still occurring and the general trend is being upward. Adolescents are responsible for spread of pertussis in the community, and the immunity to pertussis lasts only 3 to 10 years. And why it is so? What happens when only children are vaccinated? When only children are vaccinated, the immune response is very good. But as they grow up, there is a waning immunity, and by the time they become adult, the immunity is very limited as far as the pertussis is concerned. Despite high primary vaccination coverage by DPT, a considerable number of pertussis cases are still reported annually. As you can very clearly see, the India comes in the darkest maroon zone. That means almost more than 20 to 50,000 range. Abhi bhi itne cases are reported to WHO. As far as pertussis is concerned, for every 1 case reported to WHO, an estimated 83 more people will have evidence of recent infection. So that means number of cases reported to WHO is only a snapshot. They're just an iceberg because of the 3 to 5 year cyclical nature of the pertussis outbreaks. As evident from this diagram, you can see the red color bar which represent pertussis. The bars are still as tall as it used to be 1980. And that is why WHO said that India alone contributes almost 87% of diphtheria cases globally, and India contributes more than 43% of pertussis cases globally, and hence the International Consensus Group on Pertussis and Global Initiative recommends that there is a need to vaccinate all adolescents at 11 to 12 years of age against pertussis, because this will increase the herd immunity. And that is why Tdap was developed to boost immunity to pertussis as well as tetanus and diphtheria. A single dose of 0.5 ml is given deep intramuscularly, preferably in the deltoid region, to all adolescents, or any age greater than that if it has not been given earlier. And the boosters after that is only TD every 10 years. It can be given along with other adolescent vaccines also. Now coming to the prevention of cervical cancer, all of us are working on it, but I would request all obstetricians and gynecologists that if they start working religiously, sincerely, and with lot of dedication, definitely they can make a big difference in controlling cervical cancer and its prevention. We all know every woman is at risk of cervical cancer. 1 out of 4 women who die due to cervical cancer is an Indian. So to eliminate cervical cancer in the next 100 years, implementing an effective strategy is very critical, and that is why WHO in November 2020 introduced triple intervention by 2030 and beyond with a target of 90, 70, 90. What is this 90, 70, 90? 90 means we need to vaccinate 90% of the population, 70% screening, and 90% treatment by 2030. And what is that status today? The vaccination is still less than 1%. That means a long way to go. We are far behind. And that is why WHO Global Strategy aims to set the world on the right track. We need to come on the right track by 2030. And at this pace, global elimination of cervical cancer is not predicted until 2120. That means 100 more years to go. And if no action is taken, cervical cancer deaths will rise almost 50% by 2030. So elimination of cervical cancer is possible within the lifetime of today's youngest girl. But the clock starts now. I repeat, the clock starts now and every intervention counts. And hence, I would request all the gynecologists, and why gynecologists, even the paramedics and the medics, that they can make a difference to many adolescents by not letting them miss an opportunity to protect themselves from cervical cancer. Why vaccination so early in the adolescent age? All of you are familiar that definitely HPV vaccine is best at 11 to 12 years because antibodies produced are highest between the age of 9 to 15 years. So we need to ensure immunization is completed prior to potential exposure. Now, what is the recommended schedule? We should start talking to the adolescents and their mothers by the age 9 to 10 so that they are mentally prepared and they start taking the vaccination by 11 to 12 years. Till 14 years of age, only 2 doses are needed. So it is very cost effective. And after 14 years of age, we need 3 doses at 0, 2, and 6 for the Gardasil. So HPV vaccine is a high impact vaccine. What do I mean by this? That means 20 deaths can be prevented if we vaccinate 1,000 girls, which is a very good number. And it's definitely a high impact vaccine. So to conclude, the vaccination, you give one vaccine, just 2 doses, and it protects against 6 types of cancer, not only cervical, vulvar, vaginal, but the oral cavity and the anal also. So let us not miss out the adolescent age. This is the apt age for preventing cervical cancer. And I would request all of you to become ambassadors to prevent cervical cancer with folded hands. Now coming to influenza vaccine. Flu can be very serious, even for healthy adolescents. The incidence is highest in Maharashtra. Delhi and Tamil Nadu comes next. And India has a distinct seasonality peaks occurring during the monsoon season. And accordingly, the different strains are there. A lot of development has been done as far as the influenza vaccine is concerned. Today, the subunit vaccine is the best one, and it gives a robust immunity. The trivalent, we all know the trivalent has been changed to quadrivalent, which contains 2 types of strain A and 2 types of strain B. And why quadrivalent? Because if we were using only trivalent, we were still missing out almost 12% of influenza B infections. And this will definitely reduce the quality of life and absenteeism from school and college. In fact, a Thai study found that cost of investigating and treating an influenza outbreak is 10 times more costly than vaccinating the entire staff and the entire people. So CDC recommends that adolescents should receive a single dose of influenza vaccine every year. And the best time to vaccinate is as soon as the new vaccine is released or just before the onset of rainy season. Recommended strains may change annually. So in view of changing strains, the vaccine keeps changing every year. So it needs frequent updating. Now coming up for the catch-up vaccination, this is for those who fall behind or start late so that they are vaccinated at the earliest opportunity. There are lots of vaccines, MMR, hepatitis A, B, typhoid, and varicella. As far as measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine is concerned, all school-going children and adolescents should be vaccinated by 2 doses, and the minimum interval between 2 doses should be 4 weeks. Chickenpox, it has been seen that once we have started vaccination for chickenpox, there has been a significant decrease in cases, deaths, as well as hospitalization, almost to the tune of 90 to 92%. And hence, we should ensure that all adolescents are vaccinated by 2 doses of the vaccine. For children till 12 years, the recommended minimum interval between the 2 doses is 3 months. And for children 13 years or older, the recommended interval is 4 weeks. We need to prevent hepatitis at any cost, whether it is hepatitis A or B. For hepatitis A, universal immunization is not yet recommended. We need to see if hepatitis B is more important than hepatitis A. But if we want to give hepatitis A, both types of vaccines are available, the live as well as the killed. If you are using the inactivated, we need to give them 2 doses. And if you are using the live, only 1 dose is needed, and it is highly immunogenic and highly efficacious. Hepatitis B is very important because the complications are much more with hepatitis B, and more so the adolescents being indulging in all kind of sexual activities, and this can be sexually transmitted. So we need to protect all against hepatitis B. 3 doses are given to those who are previously not vaccinated at 0, 1 and 6 months interval. Typhoid vaccination can also be used as a catch-up vaccination. The conjugate typhoid vaccine is preferred over the polysaccharide vaccine. And if we want to give the typhoid and MMR vaccine together on the same sitting, we should keep a margin of 4 weeks between the MMR vaccine and the typhoid vaccine, not in the same sitting. Now, coming to immunization in the high-risk cases, high-risk category means children who are immunodeficient or with some kind of cardiac, pulmonary or hematological disorders, or children with nephrotic syndrome, or children with asplenia or travelers, and children having pets at home, they need to be immunized. Under this category comes the meningococcal vaccine, the Japanese encephalitis, the pneumococcal, and the rabies, cholera is no more there, and the yellow fever. Coming to meningococcal meningitis, here I would just want to clarify that it is a notifiable disease under Integrated Disease Surveillance Program, and we all know it has a very high case fatality rate. It spreads very rapidly within hours, and hence those who are at high risk, children who are at high risk, need to be vaccinated, especially students going for studying abroad. 2 types of vaccines are available, the conjugated and the polysaccharide one. If you are using the conjugate, the first dose is given at 11 to 12 years and booster at 16 years. If we vaccinate them at 16 years or later, there is no need of any booster injection. For pneumococcal, same thing, conjugate and the polysaccharide one, definitely the conjugate one is better. If we need to give both meningococcal and the pneumococcal vaccine together, it should never be given simultaneously. It should be given at an interval of 4 weeks, but pneumococcal vaccine can be given along with influenza vaccine. As far as Japanese encephalitis, again, it is recommended only for children who are going abroad, especially for African countries. Rabies, we all know, is one of the most feared diseases because there is no second chance with rabies. So we need to give them a pre-exposure prophylaxis only to the high-risk group with the 3 doses, and a post-exposure prophylaxis, which is a 5-day schedule, and these injections are intramuscular. So I would like to conclude by saying education regarding vaccination is more important than education regarding the disease. Immunization only works if people get them. A pinprick of discomfort is eased by a reassuring hug can lead to lifetime of well-being. So getting all adolescents vaccine is a great start for a healthy adulthood. Thank you all very much for a patient listening.
Thank you, Dr. Jyoti. Hello, am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, Dr. Mamta.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Jyoti, for a wonderful talk. And we didn't know so much about the catch-up immunization program. We were only knowing about the HPV vaccination, the varicella, the common ones that we give. Thank you so much for a very nice talk. I now invite Dr.